You are listening to the Examine Life with Bram Levinson. Well, haven't things taken a turn for the interesting? Since I last recorded, things have changed. And it seems like things have changed drastically day by day by day. For starters, before I get into this episode of the podcast, I am recording differently. I'm on a different machine, and you know who you are. Thank you for leading me to this resource, to this tool. And there may be some ambient noise. There may be the sound of rain hitting the window, or my dog whimpering in her sleep. I'm on the sofa next to her. I just figured I would give you a proper slice of life right now, as opposed to hiding in a closet with hangers and clothes hanging around me. I shouldn't say hiding, because I'm not hiding. I do it for the benefit of the audio file, but I figured I would give you something that's a little less contrived today. Things have taken a very interesting turn for every single one of us. And as I mentioned in my last episode, I was going to go to England at the end of this month, come hell or high water. Well, it looks like high water has presented itself in the form of a literal ban, a ban from flying. And to be fair, even if they hadn't banned me from flying, I would not have gone, just because the situation in England is what it is. And the situation everywhere right now is where it is. And so for the sake of safety and in the name of keeping my feet on the ground and my mind connected to the logical parts of my brain, I am staying put for the time being, as we all are. I find myself in self-isolation, practicing social distancing, all of these terms that meant very little, if not anything, to me, let's say a week and a half ago. But wow, how the tides have turned. As I've said a billion times before, this is just a reminder that life is happening. And occasionally life happens in a way that we have never experienced before. And because we have never experienced it before, especially in this way, or in any way that is really jarring or scary, it helps me reflect on the fact that I have been very, very, very fortunate in my lifetime to not experience anything that has sacrificed my comfort. I've never known scarcity. I've never had to go without. And listen, every one of us has suffering, regardless of what our situation is. But I think what's going on now puts everything into perspective. It puts everything into perspective. The squabbles that we had and the disagreements and the disillusion and disappointment and shame and whatever we were walking around with before this, I think this is putting everything into a very clear perspective. That, yeah, listen, these things exist, but in the grand scheme of things, they're nothing. They're not important. What else is not important? Well, the shit that typically keeps us divided. The things that politicians use. And I think I said this before in the last podcast. I can't remember. I'm not really interested in going back to listen to my own voice babble on. But, the stuff that we typically focus on, immigration, skin color, which God you pray to, what language you speak, how much money you have, all that shit does not matter. Because whatever you got going on in your story right now, you're probably at home. And you're probably self-isolating, and you're probably social distancing, and maybe you are feeling ill, and you're just riding that out, hoping that it doesn't go, in a horrible way. And I feel you, and I am sending you everything to carry you through this second right now. What we know is that we are all in this together. What we know is that it seems like we have been forced spiritually, every single one of us, to slow the fuck down and to examine how we are showing up in this moment. And I can tell you that if there are aspects of how you find yourself showing up in this moment, in this current situation, in this current climate, if there's ways that you're showing up that you are not content with, well, this is your work. This is your time to do something about it. There has never been a more opportune time. You have never had more time to do it. I believe that this is all happening for something. I believe that we are being asked to slow down and to wake up and to remind ourselves and each other of the things that are beautiful, the things that are real, whether they be threats or not, the things that unite us, the things that reconnect us to who and how we are. I don't believe that anything is in vain. I don't think a single breath is taken for nothing. Not a single step, not a single word, not even pain. I think everything helps arm us, galvanize us, form us, mold us into who we are meant to be going forwards. And I believe that this is an experience that we are all learning from, and that we are all going to emerge from different. We're going to come out of this different than how we came into it. And I think that by and large, those differences are going to contribute to making us more whole and making us more complete, and somehow making us more of who we are meant to be on this individual path that we all find ourselves in. As I've said before, I believe that everything that arises within our awareness is an expression of consciousness, of life expressing itself as life. And when you take the human construct of good and bad out of that equation, you're left with life. So what we are experiencing now is just another wave, another expression in the ocean of life. Now, I don't want to sound too unicorns for you. I don't want to sound like I'm about to, vomit a rainbow out of my third eye. It's not about that at all. But I find meaning here. I find meaning in this. Oh, you're getting the real life, real time experience. I'm going to mute my phone. Somebody is laughing about one of my social media stories. So right there, purpose. I find myself in a very concentrated moment of purpose right now. I gave a master class last Saturday, which is an annual event, where I talked about what is going on, or at least what was going on up to that point in time. And I had told the class that I feel like the past 11 years of my life, if not my whole life, has led me up to this moment. And I had said it in that moment. And I meant it in terms of, I think everything has prepared me to give this masterclass and to be a voice of comfort and a voice of perspective in a very scary moment. Well, listen, I believe that the only thing that I didn't hit exactly on the nail when I said that was I was speaking about that specific moment, not this general moment. I believe that every single experience that I have ever lived through, every moment of suffering, every moment of education, every moment of questioning and seeking has led me to stand in purpose now and to do what I'm doing in order to be of service to anybody who gives a shit, to anybody who has an ear and is willing to hear, to anybody who needs a little bit of solace in this moment that for many people is just serving to tweak the nervous system into fear and flight. Nothing that is should be in vain. These moments make us what we are. They give us our strength. What I know about fear is it is the worst enemy of progress. What I know about fear is that it's going to motivate me to go into some dark places and maybe do some really stupid things. So I am very much in communion with and in relationship to fear these days. And I see it. And I would like to think that if we were both playing a chess match, this fucker is winning. I think perhaps that everything that has occurred in my life boils down to this one moment. I think that the path that we all find ourselves on is the one that frees the wounded soul by making it as invulnerable as it could be. They say that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I would like to think that that's true. I would like to think that it doesn't, in the process, rob us of our ability to love and to be compassionate and to be understanding, even in the moment of self-preservation, even in the moment that we find ourselves in where we never, ever could have fathomed finding ourselves in. We never could have imagined this. I think that we have a debt to each other. For those of us who are making an effort to make this experience rather a more comforting place, full of laughter, full of unity, this is something we should be indebted for. I think that we owe each other a kind word, and I think that we need to recognize those who stand up and do that, even in the presence of all the other stuff. Because listen, everybody's afraid. And I'm not going to say that everybody is freaking out. That's not true. But everybody is in the presence of fear right now. And when you feel that sensitively, on a very visceral level like I do, it's a lot to carry. And it's a lot to be in the presence of. And so I find myself constantly doing work, whether that be breath work, whether it be meditation, whether it be sitting down to be of service. And by the way, I found that when I do stand in my purpose, I feel like I am shedding layers of weight. Like if there were gravity pressure blankets on me before, when I stand in my purpose and teach an online class or do this or write for the show that I'm going to do later in the year, I find myself lighter when I do that. And so I suppose the lesson to be learned from that is for every one of you that finds yourself at home right now, keep doing things. Don't just sit and think. For God's sake, unplug from the news. If you're going to tune in once a day. But keep doing things. Clean your space, vacuum your floor, wash your clothes, do actual work. If it makes you money, fantastic. If it doesn't, don't worry. There is a lot of fear financially right now. And it has proven to me something that I think written on social media a couple of weeks ago, and that is that every single one of us, I believe, is much, much closer to illness and unemployment and isolation than we would like to believe we are, because most people believe or have believed that they're closer to riches and closer to abundance and closer to being bulletproof. And if there is one lesson to be learned from this experience, it is that's an illusion. It doesn't matter how much money you have, and it doesn't matter what kind of empire you've built up, and it doesn't matter what kind of castle you live in. You're in this, the same way I'm in this. And so this is one of life's great equalizers, as I've said. Ultimately, every single one of us should be standing in purpose somehow. If you can, open a window, gulp some lung bucketfuls of fresh air. But do everything you can to stay connected to life as you know it, even if life as you know it has drastically altered. What we know is that we will come out the other side of this. And when we do, we're going to be able to look back and think, I will carry this with me for the rest of this life. And it will serve to educate me. It will serve to propel me into behaviors, into thoughts that perhaps I wouldn't have gone into. And I'm going to make sure that those thoughts and behaviors result in good. Whether they be good deeds, whether they be positive thoughts, whether we understand collectively or individually the process of getting through trauma, getting through fear, we will be armed with this. And every single one of us is that warrior. I really don't mean to use a cliched yoga reference, but those references, those terms exist for a reason, because this is what they refer to. For any single one of you who has ever done anything with me in a yoga, travel, spiritual, educational, inspirational context, understand that this is your work. Understand that I have already prepped you for this. Now it's time to put it all into practice, and it's time to keep your feet on the ground. It's time to still stay connected to the vibrations of hope and love and possibility. And ultimately, do your work that is yours alone to do, and in the process, if you can elevate other people as you go, do it. We are going to come out the other side of this, and we're going to do it together. And when we do, we are going to be able to appreciate life as we used to know it when it comes back to that. We're going to be able to appreciate it in a completely different way, because I believe that if you don't understand the depths of despair, then how can you really appreciate when things are amazing? How can you truly be able to recognize abundance until you have had scarcity? There's so many lessons to be learned here. All I want you to know is that ultimately there is love. And I don't mean that in terms of, John Lennon, Imagine, whatever. I'm talking about there is one vibration of love. And whether that love manifests as comfort or safety or ease or a smile or music or laughter for you, it's the same thing. It is our responsibility to direct our minds to tune into that frequency, especially in an environment that would yank us out of it. This is your work. This is my work. This is our work to do. I want to thank you for being there, wherever there is, to receive what I am putting out into the world. I want you to recognize how fortunate we are to have these mediums to still stay connected, so that we can, in a very spiritual way, feed off of each other. You're getting something out of this, and trust me, I'm getting something not only out of doing it, but of knowing that it is landing with you. So, with all that said, enjoy this downtime as much as you can, because it is temporary and it will change. And when we get back into the rat race, whatever that race looks like for you, there are going to be aspects of this, moments of this, that you're going to miss. So understand and acknowledge what those moments are and appreciate them in real time right now. I am sending you all of my best and asking you to think about all of it. And I'll see you later. This has been the Examine Life with Bram Levinson.